All right, thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. So do us a favor, subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the bell for notifications, comment down below, and of course, upvote the video itself. I'm here with Tim Thomas, and we are talking Ole Miss basketball. It's been a struggle this season. I hate that we started doing this, Tim, with this team, to where you're having to go through this. But I mean, whenever we start winning pretty good, I think this could turn out to be a decent thing. But how you doing, Tim?
I'm doing good. Yeah, there was some bright spots last night in the season. There's been some bright spots. It started off good with the tournament, down in Orlando, and we thought things were going well. Deshaun issues, injuries, but there were some bright spots last night. Kentucky, we gave them all they wanted. They're not a great team. They're on the bubble, as you might have heard. They're on the bubble, so if they're on the bubble, that means they're not very good. So if you first four out or first four in, you're just teetering. And I don't want to throw out a conspiracy theory, but it seemed like there were several calls last night that the referees just kind of looked at Kermit like, it is what it is. I said, I wonder if the SEC officers, people from the SEC office said, Kentucky needs to win, all those fans, all that money. But surely not. But, it seemed that way to me for a second.
Yeah, those calls go for Kentucky more often than they don't. It just happens at this point. But the main story that happened yesterday, yes, Ole Miss lost the game to Kentucky, but it was Deshaun Ruffin shutting it down for the season. Obviously, he has an ACL injury that he's recovering from, and I tell people all the time, that is an 18-month injury. You might be able to structurally come back in 6 months, but you actually need that extra time to get back to where you were. So this is probably a good thing, but also Ruffin could end up in the transfer portal at the end of the season. If there is a change, and they make a change with Kermit, there's going to be an exodus of players. We saw LSU ended up with one scholarship player, one player. So what should we take from this Ruffin thing right now?
Like you said, I had a meniscus tear myself. I never had an ACL, so I'm not familiar with it exactly. But I agree, it takes time, and they may have rushed him back. But I understand the doctor supposedly cleared him. But for whatever reason, maybe a little attitude issue dealing there. I don't know. Maybe a little NIL issue we're dealing there. But he's a great player. But just being truthful, when we were playing before he got on the court, I think you brought this up. We were playing much better as a team. Everything was going better. And when Ruffin came back, for whatever reason, things just didn't jive. The chemistry wasn't there. So that's an issue that we've had to deal with since he came back. So maybe if Morrell comes back this Saturday against Vandy, maybe we can get it all together and win a game against Vandy because they got drilled by Alabama last night.
Ooh. Yeah, that was pretty brutal. Alabama beat them by like 57 points or something like that. It was at the point where Nate Oates after the game was like apologizing to Vandy. It was just one of those like, I'm sorry. I mean, it just kind of happened. But yeah, there was a lot of series of events that happened in that game that was a little bit weird that it caused Alabama to go on that early run that got going. Anyway, Ole Miss lost the game against Kentucky, a game that they were tied at halftime. A game that, obviously, we just talked about. They played without Deshaun Ruffin. They played without Matthew Morrell. It was completely led by the two freshman guards. And you saw flashes of what they can be. And honestly, Ole Miss lost the game to Kentucky, but that's not necessarily news. Ole Miss loses a lot of games to Kentucky over their history. But the fact that these two freshman guards, they're probably going to take us anywhere that we want to go in the immediate future, don't you think?
Yeah, Abram and Caldwell are very good, very offensively good, and they play decent defense too. Hopefully we can keep them. Like you said, I don't know with if Kermit is let go of, which I believe he will be. I'm not sure who's on deck, but I have my ideas and thoughts who might be coming. But they're definitely leading this team. The rest of the way, we got 9 games left, and then the Tuesday in the SEC tournament. So really 10 games the way it looks to me. But Abram, as you saw, he shot the ball really well. He shot the ball earlier in the year. until, like we said, Ruffin came back and he lost his confidence. They moved him over to second guard, shoot guard. Things didn't work out. And Caldwell, he is very talented. You see how he can really get up. He jumps really well. So I'm proud of him too. So that's a good nucleus. If we can get some inside guys next year for inside presence, he has like 3 on the signing list, and we need shooting guards. I don't know where we got to go. Maybe we need to go up to the northeast or northwest or somewhere. We got to get some guys that can shoot the ball. You watch Wisconsin and some of those teams, Indiana, they got guys out there that can nail the ball. They put the ball in the hole, and we don't have that. We just don't have kids. I guess Abram may be the closest to having a pure shooter that we got. We need pure shooters, people that can nail it any game, every game, and we need several of them to and then have a good inside presence for next year.
Yeah, your lips to God's ears right there. Anyway, what is now for Ole Miss hoops? We got 10 games left. What does the Ole Miss basketball fan, because, you know, the NCAA tournaments is an afterthought. It will not happen this year. Ole Miss is likely playing on the first game in the SEC tournament. What do we need to look for right now for hope, for anything in the future?
The 2 guards, like you said, the freshman guards, Abram and Caldwell. Brakefield, has another year, so I think he'll be back. He at times he has some flashes. He shoots the ball really well and kind of gets in there and makes some plays. But that's the 3 that I feel like there's a chance. We named last week the guys that are leaving, so there's 6 of them leaving, and you might as well say 2 or 3 more transfer portals. I thought James White would really come through and make some plays. He does at times, but a lot of games he just don't show up. I'm not sure why. McKenna's inside, makes some plays. Kuba, he's kind of non-existent. He had a little layup last night that I believe I could still make, and he should have dunked it. They said he has a 7'6" wingspan. I mean, he could have dumped it on his tiptoes, but he didn't. He missed it. He missed a little short layup, which is kind of disappointing to realize that he could do that. And the other guys, Robert Allen at times makes a few plays inside. He's a hustler, and he can, shoot the ball in the paint. He don't need to get out further than that. He don't need to get out there and try to shoot it. Same with your boy, Miles Burns. Is there anyone on that team, maybe any player that Ole Miss has ever had, that hustles and gives it all his heart every single play? He makes steals. He makes tips. He passes the ball well. If he could shoot outside the 3 consistently, he would be going pro for sure.
Yeah, that the offensive portion of his game is the flaw. He's got the athleticism. Everything else, I do love watching him play basketball. And even when he misses a dunk, which he does about every 2 games, it seems like it's like a crazy dunk. It's amazing that anybody would have the audacity to even try that. And I mean, I'm going to miss Miles Burns next year, and I think that offensively, the strategy that we had, because you can see what Kermit thought. He thought, okay, we have Ruffin coming back. He's going to be all right. We've got Morrell, who's an NFL guy. We need guys that can lock people down. So Kermit went and got defensive players.
Yeah, he thought Mbala was going to be a player too. Go ahead.
Yeah, and it just didn't turn out that way. Ruffin was not completely healthy. Morrell went into a confidence drought this season that has really affected him from the outside. And what that has been left with is those defensive guys have become the main guys. And that's led to scoring droughts and everything else. And I think it was just a tactical mistake by Kermit before the season started.
Yeah, it's going to cost him his job, just to be very blunt. It's going to cost him his job. You make choices. Life's full of choices, right? So he decided to go with those defensive guys. He really thought, remember, may not talk about this enough, Mbala from Buffalo, the transfer. They really thought he was a player. He could really score also. Good defensive player. And you can see him, he's a big guy. Has a decent shooting touch. He had 18 one game, and you could see the potential there. But for the injury issue or attitude issue, it's hard to know exactly. He didn't come through. But, we're going to Vandy this Saturday. Hey, they got beat, like you said, bad by Bama, and they'll be probably back, wanting to play hard and but it'd be a good team for both of us, big game for both of us to try to win. And if we can get our stuff together and Morrell come back and play 100% or close to it, if he just help us out on the defensive front. He don't have to score all those points. We just need help defensively because we had several areas the second half. We just ran out of gas. Abram, he would give him a spell every once in a while. You give him you 3-point shooters, you like to give them a break every so often, and so they can come back out with fresh legs. And he done that several times, and it would have been nice that, they had people to come in like James White. If he'd have came in and knocked a few threes while Abram was on the sideline. But it didn't happen. It is what it is. We got to deal with it. So hopefully we can go up to Vandy and have a good game and maybe pull a win off there, maybe go to Georgia and pull off one. But there's not many wins left in the schedule.
Yeah, before we get out of here, though, you bring up an excellent point. What's it like to play in Memorial Gymnasium? That's a weird place.
It's pretty cool. I enjoyed it. You sit on the ends. Now, like when we played Kevin McHale in Minnesota, you actually are down on the floor. And you have to walk up a little step to get up to the floor. But Vandy's not like that. You're actually on the floor. You're just on the ends. And when you go into, if you're a sub, you go in over here on the side. Now, the people are kind of down low on the side to let you in the game. And it's kind of up on a stage, but you have to get used to it. You get used to it after a while. We had good luck. I think we won most of our games up there. It's not far away. It's not a long trip. Your legs don't get tired. So I think we'll beat them. I think we'll have a good chance if Morrell comes back. And these other guys continue doing well, I think we'll win this Saturday.
All right. Thanks, kid, for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. Make sure you check out our brand new podcast, Locked On College Basketball. Everything you need to know about college basketball in one place. Plus, you get to hear from big-name experts, insiders, coaches, and players. It's Locked On College Basketball. It's available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Hey, Tim, thank you very much for stopping by the show today, talking about that. I know it's a long season, but they're going to turn this around eventually, and we're going to get to enjoy that, I think. I think that's what we need to focus on.
Yeah, we got to be positive, Steve. We got to be positive. So maybe we can get a couple of wins, but our main emphasis is going to be looking for next year, looking at the recruiting, see what shooters, whoever the coach is. We can talk about maybe next week or the week after. I think it'll be coming around where some possible coaching names may be coming up, and maybe we touch on that.
Okay, sure thing. All right, take care, bud. I'll see you next week.
Howdy toddy.
Howdy toddy.